remember yesterday.
Yeah.
My next meeting was here at
So,
3.
yeah.
Michelle, so.
Come on out for something.
I talked to Mark earlier today and he said he was gonna be
Busy
on
talking
Zoom,
around.
and I leave.
See if we get the declaration.
Yeah,
We don't know yet.
and then he'll be here.
Surprise.
He'll be here at 4.
Mark.
Well, it was no emergency declaration.
But he, I can't remember if he said he was gonna leave early or come or late for this one. So if he's not
He
here,
told me that this one he's probably gonna be on Zoom. That was yesterday, so I don't know if he.
that's what he said too, but
Every day.
but
They barely last.
really leaving early if he's gonna be here at 4.
I don't know that.
For a while. For the last couple
Yeah.
of
So watch
years.
your daughters at the airport. I thought I had 45 minutes early.
That one's very.
And one way around. Yeah, but because there's a train going by. I didn't
We're
find
gonna
it.
get an underpass.
That's what we need.
Yeah, we are getting one.
Not the right one.
Yeah.
142nd?
He said he's on his way.
I'm talking about downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, at 3 o'clock
Right now, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I think he's
Right.
right.
For about 6
You didn't.
Oh, he's coming.
He's coming physically here.
He has a-
He will be up to 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I guess.
It's
Go
it's
ahead.
an opportunity.
We don't have Cindy, of course.
She's Cindy's on.
Get it, I'm gonna have a heart to heart with them because we can't be having that with them.
Well, no.
It looks bad.
Yeah, it'll come back on the county. Yeah. If we have to go out and inspect
Everybody
it.
ready?
Where you see this.
We'll call the Administrative Services Committee meeting in order 4 minutes after 3 o'clock. Commissioner Rusted is on his way, Commissioner Peach is on Zoom, and Commissioner Hagan and Rust and I are present in the room. Our first issue is the buildings and grounds maintenance tech position, but you're raising your hand. Debbie?
Mr. Chairman, could we have, Dale go first?
Michelle.
Okay, sure. I was waiting to see if she was handing stuff out or that's good. We got all this. Yep.
Yes, you have to go talk about. buildings and grounds.
You just noticed.
All right, so good afternoon, Chair Ann for this committee and commissioners. So I'm here today to provide you a progress update and some recommendations for you to consider surrounding the compensation project that Human Resources was assigned. The extensive research that was conducted by the HR department identified that the county salaries as a whole are lagging behind the market in varying degrees. Additionally, there are positions within the county that were identified as being undergraded based on the job responsibilities, along with their skills, abilities, and education that's required to perform their jobs in 2023. While working on the project, I partnered with Debbie for the financial pieces, and I utilized July 1st as a target date so that we could have a comparison of costs over the same period of time as was done with the sheriff's department. That's how that date was picked. So, in summary, the summary of our project, HR reviewed the county positions, excluding the sheriff's deputies, to determine if, based on the minimum requirements for entry-level skills and education to perform the job in 2023, to ensure that the positions are graded correctly. An extensive comparison of comparable positions with their salaries was conducted. We utilized North Dakota Association of Counties for similar counties so that we were comparing things equally. We compared with the city of Grand Forks, where it was appropriate. We utilized Polk County in Minnesota, and we also compared several counties throughout the Midwest that were comparable to us in size. So this comparison was utilized to determine if the pay for the positions were within the current range of our employment market. As I stated previously, the research conducted showed that the county salaries as a whole were lagging behind in the market. So our methodology, HR performed a comprehensive review of job descriptions. We sent out position analysis questionnaires that I can tell you every department head hated, but we got some very valuable information about how certain job positions have changed over the years. We had conversations with department heads as needed for clarification to make any updates that were required. And then we took these positions and we graded them using the systematic analysis and factory evaluation, which is called the SAFE model. That's from Springstead. This is the same model and the same evaluation process that has been used in the county since at least 2012. I don't know if it was before that or not, but that's how far back I was able to determine. Approximately 20 positions required regrading based on that classification system. The individuals in those identified positions were placed in the appropriate grade and step according to our current compensation policy. That reads that an employee shall be placed in the new grade on the next step that is at least 3% higher than the employee's current salary. And their seniority date would change to the date of approval. So the recommendation we have would be that we would place these positions on the current salary scale. So the handouts that I have, and Commissioner Peach, this is from the email that you were sent yesterday. There's a one-page Excel spreadsheet that's got some different colored columns. This just identifies every position and a person in the position, where they are currently with their grade and their step, and where the recommendation would be that they move with their grade and their step. So that's what the one-page spreadsheet piece is.
Question, where's the sheriff's department support staff?
The sheriff's department support staff, they did not end up being regraded with the information that we had. They would be on the third piece of, I have 3 different sections, because not every position in the county had any significant changes to it. So those positions were not identified as having to be regraded. But in the third piece, when we talk about addressing the county as a whole, the salary scale, that's where there would be a change with that.
Okay.
So four departments, the state's attorneys, the highway department, and adult corrections, and the youth assessment center were identified as having specific positions that didn't require regrading because their job didn't change. However, they've been identified as being significantly under the current market for that type of position. So it was determined through our research that 12% would bring us up to the appropriate market for those specific positions. So when you look at, you should have the other sheet, multi-sheet, and this one shows the out-of-market positions. So just which positions in the state's attorney's office, those positions are their attorneys. And in the correctional center, it does not include their admin people. It only includes people from the administrator to the correctional officers, no medical office clerks, no admin. In the highway department, the positions that were identified as out of market were equipment operators and equipment mechanics. The office staff, those pieces did not come as out of market. Same thing with Youth Assessment Center. We use them basing it off of juvenile detention. And there's only a couple of youth assessment centers in the state that are open besides, two, I think, besides us. But we felt that because our youth assessment center does juvenile detention and attendant care and shelter care, then they fit into that 12% limit. So this just identifies the people and the positions that are out of market. So with those 4 departments, our recommendation would be that we create a separate salary scale, increase our current salary scale by 12%, and put those positions on that scale. And that mirrors what was done by the Sheriff's Department. The third piece, and Commissioner Ross, this is what would handle the admin piece positions at the Sheriff's Department. It was determined that a 5% increase overall to the current scale would address that other market inequity. Increasing the scale would also include, our recommendation would be, it would include elected officials and the approximate 20 regraded positions. So you would regrade the positions, put them on our current scale, take out the ones that are identified as out of market. The sheriff's deputies are already taken out because they have their own scale, and then do an overall 5% increase. So that's the 3 pieces that we were looking at. Like I said, I partnered with Nelson. I just want to go through my methodology and answer any questions on how we came up with what we came up with.
I have some costs. You done?
Yep, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So Michelle gave me her spreadsheet with all the positions and what grade they would be going to for the regraded positions, and then the 112 out of market. So there's 39 regraded positions, and the cost would be, and this is only for 6 months, $144,382.09. Do you want a copy, Michelle?
If you have one, that'd be great. Otherwise, I can just hope I can read my handwriting afterwards. Thank you.
And then the 112 out of market positions, 6-month cost would be $405,421.62. And then the 45 all other positions that haven't been accounted for would get a 5% as of July 1, and that's $70,228 for a total of $620,000. Then you add in your Social Security and Medicare and your retirement. And this retirement is at 13.26. Next year it's 14.26. So we're at almost $750,000 for 6 months. We can't afford it. And then I have a breakdown between the different funds, because we've got different levies for each of the general fund, the veterans, highway, and NDSU. For the general fund, it's $650,000 for 6 months. We've already done the sheriff, and that was about $150,000 for the last 6 months of the year. So that'd be almost $900,000 for 2023. So double that for a full year, and you have 1.8 million. We can't afford it, unfortunately. I understand that it's needed, but there isn't funds to do it. And I don't think we should do it anything in 2023. I think it should be done at budget time, and I think it should be done January 2024. And then we're looking at all the costs that come in. I've got another sheet for you. So the good thing, the value of the mill went up quite a bit, 5.48% is what we're looking at. So we were at $347,000 a mill in 2023. And in 2024, we're looking at 366,000 or 5.48% increase. So the general fund is limited to 60 mills. We were at 45.04 in 2023. Now we were at 45.04, but we used $4.5 million in cash to hold us down there. So now I'm saying 50 mills. If we have 50 mills in the general fund in 2024, if you take that times the $19,017, you get $950 additional funds out of 50 mills. So I would suggest that you use for salaries 55% of that figure, that 950, and that's because salaries, retirement, Social Security, and Medicare is 55% of our budget. So I would say take of that 950, take 55%, and you'd get $522,000. This is for 2024. It's not for 2023. Now I've got 300,000 for the sheriff. That's already been approved. If we do a step for the sheriff, it's 341,000. So if you take that from the 522 that we have to use for salaries, we have $181,000 left. Buildings and grounds positions that we'll be adding would take $75,000 of that. And I've heard there are 2 departments that want an additional person. I've only heard, maybe there's more, I'm not sure. Of those 2 that I've heard about, they're about $90,000. So there's 2 of them, that's 180. So we are in the hole, $73,000 for 2024 before we do anything for salaries for everybody other than the shift.
So that's, so if we don't, Mr. Chair, if we don't give that, those 2 departments additional staff, then we'd be at 180,000, right?
We, and I think that's something to discuss at budget time, when we're talking about everything. Once we see everything, that's when you discuss it. Once we know what our revenue is gonna be, and all other expenses, then we start talking about what the salaries are gonna be for 2024. That was-
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Pete.
I do have, one of the things that I understand that, you know, we can't afford it, but can we afford to continue to have people walking out the door? Can we afford to continue to hire people, when we're not even meeting the market? And obviously price ranges have gone up, or career positions have gone up significantly, you know, across the country. But I know in previous discussions, I didn't hear at the beginning if Michelle talked about position descriptions. Some of these, a lot of the position descriptions were changed, haven't been changed since 2002, 2007, 2012. We're talking about 1 to 2 decades that these positions haven't been changed. What about funding that we, 3 million that we didn't use for Fufang? When we were putting money into water improvement projects that would affect that corporation. That corporation isn't moving forward at this time and won't be in the future. So there's $3 million of funding. I can't say whether it can be used for salaries or not, but we do have some COVID dollars that we could put in for July to December. I realize that the cost of, or the mills are going up, which is wonderful, but we're putting money into buildings. We've done infrastructure, and we need to continue to do that, but we need to continue to value our staff as well. Everything has gone up in the market, from groceries to you name it. utilities, the whole 9 yards. I think that we can't continue to kick the can down the road. And unfortunately, we have done that for a very, very long time. I know that this is going to be something that we can't afford, but we can't afford to not pay staff adequately, and we can't afford to not be competitive in the hiring market.
Anyone else got a comment?
As far as using ARPA dollars, I don't like to do that for salaries. I know we talked about using CARES dollars for the sheriff, it was $150,000, now we're talking about $750,000. I would like those more for a one-time use, because you use them and they're gone.
That's right.
It's not, what do we do with the following year when we don't have the funds? So I completely understand, but I would just like to do it in the 2024 budget.
I don't see how we can operate in a vacuum for 6 months and then hope that we somehow got the 2024 budget in, compliance with what we will need to do. We could say, whoops, in a couple months when we're working on that budget, if we make a rash decision now. And I do agree that with it, our people are our best asset. But one of the things about county government, state government, even the military, especially the ones that are combat military, they don't get paid what the market gets paid out there, but there's job security, there are good benefits, there are all kinds of things. So we all make our choices on where we work based on all of those things. And I know everybody on the commission, all the managers really want to have a good working place for everybody. And that's what we're trying to do. But I'm uncomfortable to make a decision for right now in June for the next 6 months until we have our budget meetings, which are coming up.
So,
Mr. Roth.
so Cynthia, I don't think we want to ignore the employees, but I agree with Commissioner Engen that we should make it part of the budgetary cycle that's coming up here. And I think we need to see where we are with all our monies before we make a rash decision.
So in a sense, we continue to kick the can down the road.
At least for 6 months.
Well, 6 months becomes 12, 12 becomes 18. We have to do something, and I know it's going to cost money. I know the taxpayers are probably going to be upset, but we as an employer cannot continue to do that. It's unfortunate that you view it as a rash decision. I understand that it's one-time money. It's best to use it for a one-time type project. But here sits some funding that would help us out in 2023. And then when we get to 2024, we have to do some very hard decisions to figure out how we're going to continue to pay staff. We're no different than in the previous last 2 decades. We continue to it's excuses, or it's, well, they have good benefits, this is their choice. Unfortunately, the choice becomes the quality and the level of staff that we have. And it's very unfortunate.
Wouldn't we have to come up with $900,000 for this next 6 months and make that decision by July 1st if we're going to do that?
So if you wanted to use CARES dollars, you could, but I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Would work exhausted or tap any.
We're limited to 60 mils and it can't go beyond 60.
That's what makes me nervous.
Yeah, we gotta stay way below that.
I mean, I do believe that we need to do something, but before seeing the cost of it.
Well, that's where we would see it during the budgetary cycle.
Right, that would make more sense, so we can see where we need to cut to make this work.
That's the way I see it, unfortunately.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I can see waiting for the budgetary cycle, but then this needs to become a priority. This can't be, well, we don't have to do it, so let's wait till this time, or let's wait till this time, 6 months or another year. We have to make it a priority, and it may end up being a cost increase for our taxes, but it needs to become a priority and not continue to kick the can down the road.
I don't argue with that at all. I think it makes sense.
Oh, yeah, we're all on the same page, I think.
Maybe
Cindy.
we have to do it in steps as we go along. We maybe can't do it in one fell swoop in the 24 budget completely.
Yeah.
But maybe we can get part of the way. You're right, we have to get started.
Yeah, I think it needs to be priority too, so.
Any other comments? Commissioner Rusted has joined us, by the way. Commissioner Pete, probably listening in earlier, I don't know.
Another meeting, better late than never, Lori.
So, Mr. Hagan, any comments?
Not additionally than we already discussed.
Mr. Ross?
No, just what I said, I think it needs to be part of the budgetary and priority, so.
All right, Commissioner Peach, anything else on this topic? Enough. All right.
Sorry, I couldn't get my mute button. No, I have no other comments as long as this does become a priority in 2024.
Good point, really is. So, are we going to our next item,
Yes,
which was the
now we
first
need to
item?
go back to the first item.
All right,
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think that's me, and now I really wish I'd have gone first. But if the commission recalls, a couple months ago, Mr. Grashevsky, our facilities manager, came up with a plan to save the county money in the long run with taking our snow removal services and bringing them in-house. So the commission approved procuring some snow removal equipment. Part of Mr. Grashevsky's plan, though, was having to add an additional maintenance technician position before the next snow season is upon us, which also it's also a needed position, not just for snow removal, but we're adding to our footprint eventually with the youth assessment center and adding on to the correctional facility. So I'm bringing this before the Administrative Services Committee to approve adding an additional maintenance an additional maintenance technician position with a start date of September 1. That should hopefully give time for posting and recruitment and onboarding and cross training. If you look at for September 1 through the rest of the fiscal year, it's grade 6, step 1, it would be a total budget amendment of $24,643.16. I think for this, I would ask the Administrative Services Committee approve a grade 6, step 3, just to allow for a little bit of wiggle room in negotiations. And that would be a budget amendment of $25,607.55. So happy to answer any questions, but asking for the Administrative Services Committee to endorse it and then bring it to the next county commission meeting for final approval.
Mr. Grashevsky here. Yeah. I didn't quite understand why, or Mr. Ford, whichever, why do you have both step 1 and step 3 listed?
Give you the bare minimum, Mr. Chair, and then a step 3 and what that cost difference would be. It's your prerogative to approve it out of step 1 if you like. I like going to the step 3 because it will give Mr. Grashevsky a little bit of room to negotiate. But if you choose to not approve that way, at least the committee knows what the step 1 cost is from September on to the end of the year.
Grashevsky, comments?
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you to the committee for the opportunity to present. The goal towards the possibility of looking at a step 3 is simply from seeing where market is at, seeing what our pay scale is at in comparable positions, community-wide, citywide. My fear with if we're locked in at 6-1, my fear is being able to successfully recruit someone and not having any negotiating ability whatsoever with that wage package, as opposed to another $1,500 or $2,000, roughly what it is there. The ability to, if you will, sweep the pot if we make an offer and get declined, if we have a competent applicant there. Gives me that flexibility. If I have nothing and my hands are tied at that point in time, if we have a viable applicant, by the time we would get to the coming back and asking again and making it through the commission, and that person's interest has long since passed when you're talking weeks in between these meetings.
This would be a motion to bring to the commission our recommendation for a position for up to grade 6, step 3.
Correct.
Would that cover it?
Yeah, I think that's less than $1,000, isn't it?
Well, not much. It's
It's not.
24,600 versus 25,600, about $1,000. Yeah. Any discussion, comments, questions for anybody?
I'd be totally on board for that.
Yeah.
That's-
Okay,
Need a motion.
second.
Further discussion? Hearing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Fast. Yeah, I would have to wait for the Zoom.
Yeah.
It always sounds like a nay by the time it gets done. So, all right, the motion, that all of our business for this
That's
committee?
it.
Yeah.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay.
So we would go from 45.
We don't know that.
Okay, I'm
That
just-
was just hypothetical.
Okay,
We're
but
at
we
45
can go
now,
up to
but
60.
We can go up to 60. When, that's it.
Well, yeah, we're not going to the legislature to raise that.
At 60.